customary, may we have a moment of silence? I need to make the announcement this meeting is being recorded and televised by our local cable company. I need a motion to approve bill and payroll warrants.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to accept correspondence in the refile.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the meeting minutes of open session, May 18th, 2021.
So
A
moved.
motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And I need a motion to approve meeting minutes of open session, June 2nd, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Town administrators report. Lincoln.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, nothing that is not already on the agenda, except to say that just wanted to remind those interested that applications, if residents of Whitman are interested in serving on the school committee, are due by June 29th, including resumes and a statement of interest or a cover letter, including for those folks who made an application prior to last week's meeting, the joint meeting between the Whitman members of the school committee and the Board of Selectmen, that, pursuant to the decision of that group last week, resumes and letters of interest are desired from everyone to my email, lheineman@whitman-ma.gov by a week from today.
Okay, is that all you have? At this
It
point?
is.
Okay.
It is.
Under new business, take action act on the resignation of Wayne Carroll Jr. from the position of Auxiliary Special Police Officer effective June 8th, 2021. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Take act on the resignation of James Cronshaw from the position of Auxiliary Special Police Officer effective June 10th, 2021. Is there a
moved.
motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Act on the resignation of Norma Gardner from the position of a member of the Historical Commission effective June 7th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Take action on the appointment of Adam Kosterman in the position of Auxiliary Special Police Officer through June 30th, 2022, omitted in error from the fiscal year 22 annual appointment list approved on June 8th. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Take action on the appointment of Fred Small to the position of a member of the Capital Committee through June 30th, 2024. It was omitted in error from the fiscal 2022 annual appointment list approved on June 8th. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a quick question.
Go
This
ahead.
is the position appointed by the Board of Selectmen?
Yes.
From the school district?
From the school committee, correct?
From the school
Right,
committee?
school committee.
Okay. Have they made a liaison appointment yet?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, take action on the appointment of the following in order to fill existing vacancies. Jake Dodge, Conservation Commission, member through June 30th, 2022. Brian Scuderin, Conservation Commission, alternate through June 30th, 2024. William Hanneran, Cultural Council, member through June 30th, 2023. Julia Nanigan, Cultural Council member through June 30th, 2024. And Tina Vessel, Cultural Council member through June 30th, 2024. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Act on the request of Richard Rosen on behalf of McQuiggan's Pub to conduct the 11th Annual McQuiggan's Pub 5K Road Race on Sunday, September 26, 2021, to close off the Legion Parkway from 12 noon till 5 p.m. and a one-day liquor license to be served from the tent set up at 16 Legion Parkway. And approval will be subject of license fees. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
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 Lincoln, do you know if there's a rain date?
I do not.
Just rain or shine?
I do not. I'm not sure. Do you know anything about that, Lori?
It's rain or shine?
I would imagine it's rain or shine unless we know otherwise.
Okay, thank you. Hear a motion, second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Glad to see that's back. Okay, line item transfers. Lincoln, this is for yourself.
Yes. Thank you. So just as a quick recap, line item transfers are allowed to, and to be clear, the budget, the fiscal year 2021 budget, which ends on June 30th, is balanced overall. That is to say, revenues exceed expenditures as approved by town meeting last year. But individual line items, particular individual line items that will be before you tonight, have deficiencies or are projected to have deficiencies at the end of the fiscal year. And moving monies between line items in the last 2 months of the fiscal year, the first 15 days of the new fiscal year upcoming, are allowed with the approval of the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee. So I can briefly run through what the proposed line item transfers are and the need for them. So the first, it would be a transfer of $1,500 from the tax title line to the clerical collector line. This is needed because of the changes in the treasurer collector's office. There were quite a few changes, as this board knows, in personnel and also in outsourcing and finding efficiencies in that office. There is a little bit of a backlog with the new staff coming on, and there is a employee who's working some overtime to finish up that backlog as we finish out the fiscal year. So this is a reflection of the need for some more overtime to make sure that office is up to date as it gets everybody trained up. The law department, a proposed $5,000 line item transfer to the law department, the legal line, from claims deductible expenses. There is not currently an overage in legal services for fiscal year 2021, but based on projections, it's conceivable that there might be for a whole variety of reasons. Some of the personnel changes, the recount, et cetera. And so we want to make sure that there are funds there in case there does end up being an overage. The next is requested by the fire chief, a proposed transfer of $7,000 to ambulance repairs maintenance from the Norfolk County Agricultural High School tuition line. There have been some unforeseen, unbudgeted for repairs to the ambulances. There are more than sufficient funds in the Norfolk County Agricultural High School line because of the original estimate a year ago of how many students would be attending this school year was lower than what it actually ended up being. The next is a proposed $7,000 transfer to ambulance billing. This is the monies that are paid to our billing company who bill those who use the ambulance, and insurance companies using the ambulance on our behalf. And that would be $7,000 proposed to ambulance billing, again, from Norfolk County, Norfolk Aggie. Ambulance revenues are actually picking up some, which is not good news in one way. In another way, it reflects coming out of the pandemic and, there being other non-COVID ambulance trips happening and those being able to be billed. So with the higher revenues being billed, at the same time, there's larger allocations needed to our billing company to pay them for their work. The next three I'd like to group together. All three are to auto expense and inspectional services. One would be $500 from the expense line for the building inspector zoning enforcement. $1,000 to the assistant building inspectors from the assistant building inspector salary, and $1,200 from the expense wiring inspector. Again, all to auto expense inspectional services for a total of $2,700. The existing vehicle that the building inspector is driving is a 2009 Tahoe. It's in relatively good shape, but there are some maintenance and pretty routine things that need to be done to that vehicle, and we'd like to get those done here in the next week to make sure that that's cleared out. It's mostly tires, brakes, air conditioning not working, oil pressure switch, that kind of thing, to get it so that we have some more use out of it. The next is a $74 requested line item transfer to recording secretary for the DPW from union labor salaries DPW. There is one more meeting for the DPW that's not budgeted for. They had quite a few meetings this year in preparing for the sewer force main, amongst other issues. So just need a relatively small transfer there to balance that line. The next is a proposed $8,000 transfer to the health inspector line from the visiting nurses line. The past health inspector retired mid-year. We have a new health inspector. For two reasons. The primary one being that we did want some overlap between the old health inspector and the new one, and so there is a deficit in the salary line there to account for that. There are sufficient funds in visiting nurses, largely because of CARES Act monies, because those were available to cover a lot of the visiting nurse costs during this fiscal year. The next is a proposed $4,800 transfer to recreation activities and expense from the recreation director's salary. The recreation programming is really getting back on track here after being dormant for obvious reasons in the last year because of COVID. The two primary things that we want to make sure we get in place are some sufficient funds to have the July 4th celebration. Funds were not appropriated for that because we thought it was not going to be possible. But we do want to buy some supplies and services, the things that are able to be purchased before during this fiscal year and also from some supplies and services for the park program from excess funds because there was a gap, and we have a new recreation director mid-year, and there were excess funds in the salary line to get that program running up for the summer. The next line is similar, a proposed $2,000 transfer to the park program salaries from the recreation director's salary line. Again, to supplement, the park program will be starting up in the final week of this month, and we want to supplement some of those salaries to get it up and running and make sure the program's going as they continue to draw more kids to participate. But obviously, we're still figuring out exactly how many kids are going to be there since there's still some uncertainty because of COVID. The next is a proposed $5,000 transfer to unemployment compensation from the assistant library director line. Again, this is similar to the legal department. There isn't currently an overage in unemployment compensation expenses from the state, but just in case, we want to make sure that we have sufficient funds there just in case there are some expenses that come in. So that's what that accounts for. The next is a $10,000 proposed transfer to union salaries in the water and sewer labor line from the budgeted reserve for water and sewer. There was a large water main break on May 30th, and that had required overtime, and the line would not be sufficient without this transfer to pay for that overtime. Second to last is a proposed $3,354.93 transfer to water and sewer gasoline from water and sewer gas heat. The water and sewer department would like to as is typical in most fiscal years, use a little bit of extra monies there to get one final delivery of diesel and make sure we're filled up at the beginning of the fiscal year. And then finally, there's a proposed $5,542.19 transfer from fiscal year 19 encumbrances for water and sewer to fiscal year 20 encumbrances for water and sewer. The sewer bill that we pay to the city of Brockton for the treatment of our sewerage exceeded the budget amount by a relatively nominal amount, and so this transfer is needed to pay that bill. So those are the proposed transfers. And obviously happy to take any questions that there are.
Do I hear a motion to accept?
Second.
All right, any questions for Lincoln on these?
Just a
Yes.
quick one. Would any of these unforeseen expenses be, I don't know, eligible for CARES funding? I'm looking at ambulance-related expenses due to, increases in runs or billing.
Yeah, so unfortunately not for billing, because the increases are actually because we're coming out of COVID.
Okay.
So we have been applying for CARES Act reimbursement for COVID trips. That's definitely in there, as this board knows. I think the public knows we did purchase an ambulance with COVID funds, but these are non-COVID runs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the repairs to the non-COVID ambulance?
Yeah, I mean, right, correct. So the COVID ambulance is new, so those aren't repairs, and we know that, it would be, while conceivably some of the repairs are due to some COVID runs, I think it wouldn't pass the pale as far as saying, segregating this portion of the repairs and this is COVID. I think that would be tough. That would be a tough row to get reimbursed for that.
Any further questions for Lincoln on?
It's all straightforward.
Seeing none, all approved?
Aye.
Okay. Well, that exhausts the agenda, so I am going to need a motion to go into executive session according with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. And then we're talking about the incoming chief. And we'll be coming into open session to adjourn only. So do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Do I have any
Yes.
discussion? Yes?
Yes.
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 Okay. We're in executive session. As I say, we'll come into open session to adjourn only.